so every time, I'm not even going to do a formal introduction because we've been little Insta besties. Well, every time I see your name on Insta, you're Jessica. Do you go by Jessica?
Yep, Jessica.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I always want to say Jessica.
I love that.
I don't know why. Only with you, I want to say it so like cultured.
So cultured. And that's how my mom says it. And that's how I grew up hearing it. So
really?
I love that. Yeah.
I think it's probably like the yo in front of your Instagram handle. Like in my head, the yo in front of it makes me want to be like, yo, Jessica.
So funny is my girl, she was like, did you mean for it to be yo, Jessica, or yo? And I'm like, I'm bilingual. It can go either way. So
yeah. Oh, see? It works perfect. Well, Jessica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
We have been talking for like what? A year-ish more?
I feel like it's like
Is it 2 or 3 years?
I don't know. I've been following you for a while. Well, we've been following each other for a while. And it's one of those like follows where you're like, you're really keeping up with each other. It's like one of those things where people on the internet are like cheering for you louder sometimes than the people in your life. It's kind of one of those.
Yes.
You know?
And we've like agreed on a lot of like topics. Our faith is a big one.
Yep.
You're a way bigger media personality. So why don't you give everybody like a rundown what you do, how you got into doing what you do.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into like younger you.
Okay, perfect. Well, I would argue honestly, I feel like we both relate to each other because we both are in media, on social media, and we're very vocal, we're very loud about it. But I actually started out in traditional media. So my first ever, I would say, really big industry job where it was like paid and everything was Radio Disney. So I had a show on Radio Disney. That was like my first kind of gig my sophomore year in college. Oh, wow. And then from there I worked at Power 106, which is a hip hop station out here as a producer. And then I worked at TikTok when it was just a startup, so it was called Musical.ly. So
I
there was
remember
only
that.
like 4 people. Do you remember Musical.ly?
I cringe. There's
Girl.
there's a fucking fan page of me.
Wait,
I
that
don't know.
posts your old Musical.lys? Or?
Yes. And girl, I thought I could dance.
I would die.
I look at that fan page from time to time of just like, okay, this is eventually probably going to come out. You know, the more known I get, and I'm just gonna, growth.
Yeah. Like you see the journey. you see where I come from.
I have to accept it because I've tried to report that page.
Oh my God, not the fan page.
Yeah, so I definitely remember Musical.ly. That's cool.
Yeah, and so I was in the office during that time. So if you saw my old Musical.lys, because I knew every single challenge that would come out, and I would do it because like the office would encourage us like participate in your own challenges that we're launching. Yeah. So I was doing all the partnerships for Latin America.
Oh, nice.
Small little WeWork office. It's crazy to see that it's now TikTok. It's almost like I disassociate. I'm like, whoa, feels like a different life. And then from there, I ended up having my own radio show on a reggaeton radio station out here, Cali 93.9, which is a, very Spanglish vibe. And then since then, I've just been hosting, interviewing, kind of social media stuff, very local. So I don't even know.
You're super familiar with the space, and even the way you talk and conduct yourself, it's very media.
Is it media?
It's very media. No, but I like it. I like it because it sounds like radio host. You know what I mean?
So I guess because that's kind of what trained me.
Yeah,
the radio.
And it's so one of my grandpas. He was also a radio host, but he was news radio.
Okay,
so he had that super like deep baritone voice and welcome back to so I kind of pick up on like the media tone. But I love it because you're still so hip and you do a lot of sports ads. So I don't know if I've ever told you, but I also played club soccer.
No, you
for
did
14
not.
years.
Girl.
Yes.
Do you post soccer content or no?
No, never.
You should. That's
you
a whole
think so?
nother. Well, people follow you because they love the way you think. They love the way you express yourself. That's a whole nother facet of you. And to be honest, sports is like, that's what shaped me. Yeah. I mean, being on sports teams my whole life, traveling. I mean, the whole club soccer life. Like every Sunday or every Saturday, you're out there on the field. And I don't think I would be genuinely. I don't mean this corny. I don't think I'd be where I am today if it weren't for like what sports taught me.
Yeah, the discipline.
Pushing
through.
Yeah. So you're playing up in SF?
No. So I played as a young girl all the way up until 16. I tore my ACL.
Oh.
And then I got pregnant with my daughter at 17.
Okay. So.
And then I played a little bit of like mom league soccer after Marivea, huh? And girl, I still had it, but the lungs I did not have no more.
Yeah, you're like,
the
my
endurance
lungs are collapsing.
Yeah, no, because people don't realize like there's in shape and then there's like soccer in shape. And those are two very different in shapes. Like going to the gym, cool. Come play for a fucking hour of pure endurance.
And full field.
Full field.
Yeah, like all like full team, full field. And you know what? You're so right, because even as an adult, and I do pride myself in whatever I like work out.
Yeah.
Girl, I'll get thrown into like a soccer game here and there, and I'm just like, what? Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna like throw up. I'm like,
yeah.
I was younger, just like
going
like Energizer
moving.
Bunny.
Yeah.
You're so right. It's a completely different type of fitness.
And also, I don't know, like if you experience the same, but growing into your mom. Well, I have a mom body, but woman body.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When your body's produced another.
Yes. I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. There's like junk in my trunk that I gotta like carry and run with now. I just didn't. I was so petite and slim, and I could just like a feather fly through the field. And now it's like, okay, I got a little sturdiness to me that I gotta carry.
You're like,
so
I got a little something.
Yeah, but I like that. Like, oh shit, we also relate with that. And I don't think
so
I ever
fun.
told you.
No, I never knew that you did soccer, and it's so fun. Like, I'm rediscovering now as 32. I'm 32.
Yeah.
Now, like 12, 13 years later, about soccer, because for a very long time I played at USC for 1 year, and then I got into radio. But when I left, I don't know if you remember your last game, but when you leave, it was like a divorce. It was like I can't even look at it, because it was like heartbreak, but I was also leaving the sport, my identity. I was always like the sports girl in high school.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure you relate to that, right? So I'm
so much
re-falling in love.
Oh, girl. Well, I hope you keep at it.
I know.
I feel like every time I watch like women my age play, I so desperately am like, I really am called to do it, but then something stops me.
Yeah. I wonder what it is.
I don't know if it's the fear of getting hurt again. Oh. My injury, and thinking like, okay, well, I'm a mom now, so I have to think like I can't get hurt, because then like I'm the backbone of the house, or even just I don't know. You know what? I'm going to have to sit with that with God. I'm going to have to talk to God about that.
That's real, though, because your last experience was so painful. Yeah. I think the worst injury I got was like a broken nose. I looked like the Avatar for like 2 or 3 weeks. But other than that, no. And I know so many girls actually suffer from like the craziest knee injuries. Like
girl,
ACL,
wrists, hands. Like I've gotten but I was like super aggressive, like super.
Yeah, you were letting all the frustration out.
Yeah, I was. I'm so sorry to any of my opponents, because I was a forward that was going to test my defenders for sure. But okay, enough of soccer. Let's get it to the beginning. Talk to us about your childhood, how you grew up.
Yeah,
what shaped you?
I grew up here in Southern California, Rancho Palos Verdes. So I grew up in an area that was not diverse. It was not very diverse, to be honest.
Oh, really?
No, not at all. So my parents bought their first house in South Central. Obviously, like there was a lot of diversity there, and then they ended up moving to Hawthorne and then other places, and now they landed in Rancho Palos Verdes. Like, true American dream story. My dad comes from the Rancho de Jalpa, Zacatecas. So like, he would pick up tires from dumpsters and sell them, and now he does his thing. So so it was always hard, because I never saw myself in anybody around me ever. I went to small Catholic school, same 30 people. So that was interesting. But soccer and sports was like, that was the thing that raised me. My dad was one of the top runners in the world. So
oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think I've seen you post your dad.
Yeah, like his running stuff.
Yes, his running stuff.
Nuts. Like, even, David Goggins, right?
No.
David Goggins. Do you know David Goggins? Okay, he's like that running influencer who'll be like running and talking into the mic, like,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's a big motivational type guy. But even he's talked about my dad. I think it was his book or his podcast, where he's like, yeah, Gabriel was one of the people that I admired, because my dad used to run the hardest races in the world and beat like the world record.
No way.
Girl, I'm talking like 135 miles through 127-degree weather up in Death Valley Desert, and he would run it in like 27 hours and like get first place, and just nutty stuff.
Just like out of passion, like that was just his hobby, and he just enjoyed it.
Girl, there wasn't one day, Monday through Sunday, my dad didn't get up at 3 a.m. to go like running. So that was his thing, was just like running. And he raised us like military camp. Wake up, go run, discipline. He would take us to the deserts of Mexico, and he would make us run like every morning at like 4 a.m. in the morning, have a speaker in the back. We'd just be trekking the Mexican mountains with a speaker, and he'd just be like, praying the rosary. Like, I'm not even kidding.
So athleticism and faith, deep rooted
Athleticism,
in you.
Deep rooted.
Did you enjoy that as a kid?
No. No.
Did you ever fight against it?
Yeah. Every morning I'd be like, are you serious? And he'd start either blasting Vicente Fernandez, like that'd be like my alarm clock. He'd be getting the power bars ready, and like sun was not even going to be coming out for another 5 hours. And like all three of my siblings, we'd just be like, oh my gosh, here we go again. He put weights on our ankles, girl. It was like a whole training camp.
He was not playing around.
No. And then if we would cry, he would make us stop and he'd make us scream, I love it. So, girl, I'd be going through some stuff in life, and I'd just be like, I love it.
But that's what I was just going to say. How did that, go into you being adult and like getting through adversity in your life, I would imagine?
Girl, I mean, the way you raise your kids, and you're a mom.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even a mom yet, but just witnessing how my parents raised me, it will change the trajectory of your children's life, period. No matter what, your children are going to you're going to get beat down. Yeah. Like, you're going to get beat down. The world's going to be mean. People are going to tell you no. You're not always going to be accepted. How your parents raise you is going to fundamentally shape how you respond, your bounce back, all those things. I feel like you're very special because I know you went through so much adversity, and look at who you've become now. It's like you kind of got out of the fire and you saw, you learned from, whatever adversity you experienced when you were younger, and it's made you into this incredible person. On my half, my dad was like this crazy role model, so hard on us. I hated it. Yeah. But it's really made the biggest difference.
See, and I love to see that because being able to hear that you had a good example of a father.
Yeah.
And you had that fatherly support and you turned out so great. And I'm like, yes.
Look at both of us.
See, you are like, that's why we're breaking the cycles. That's why we're putting in all this work, because you had that support. Yeah. And you turned out so great and you did so much great with it. Yeah. And I think that fed your independence.
Absolutely. And my dad, I feel like he broke that cycle.
Yeah.
So I feel like the children that you are raising, I mean, it's going to be such a different experience than what maybe you experienced or your husband experienced. And you're going to teach them all those things: discipline, love, communication. I mean, I hear the way that you talk on your stories, and I'm like, this girl is a communicator. Like, she is good. And I can't even imagine the kind of bond and relationship you're building with your children. That was maybe something I was missing. Like, I never felt like I could really talk to my parents. They taught me discipline and all those things, but that communication is what I want to bring into, however I raise my kids.
Why do you think that is?
The communication?
Yeah.
I feel like they were first generation immigrants, and there's always kind of like, I'm being raised in a completely different world than they were. So it's like I am mitad y mitad. Like, they're coming from Mexico y Colombia, and they're bringing kind of like this mixed culture, and I'm kind of like one foot in U.S. and back and forth. And so there was maybe a little bit of a disconnect, and my dad was raised tough. He was raised tough, so,
Were they like emotionally intelligent in the sense of like affection, I love yous, hugs?
I want to say yes, but truthfully, it wasn't outwardly a lot, to be honest.
Really?
No. More now than ever.
Yeah.
I mean, once they get older and I get older and I get wiser and I forgive a lot, because it definitely was not perfect. I can tell you that. But once you forgive and you get to that place where you see each other and you recognize, you know what, at least I know my parents were my mom was doing the best she could.
Yeah.
Didn't speak a lick of English, new world. I mean, I moved from LA to Tennessee, and I'm struggling with the culture shock. I cannot, I'm like every day just like, this is hard, and it's still America. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But my mom coming from Colombia to here, it's like, she was doing the best she could. She probably, you don't have social media to lean on, mentors or information. She's just thugging it out. So
did they come with family here? Or were they just like, they came, no family, figured it out?
My mom had she had some family here, but it was more like figure it out. My dad was born here, raised in Mexico. Half and half of his family was born in Mexico and here. So he was always back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with a lot of family here?
Yeah.
Like cousins?
Oh yeah, girl.
Oh, okay, cool.
We run deep. Do you have a big family?
I do have a big family, but I don't have a big family
Okay.
so much
Fair.
anymore. You know, just the healing process,
Yeah.
you know, and breaking the cycles.
Yeah.
I was talking about that today on the True Hustle podcast of just like, yeah, it's the price you pay,
Yeah.
you know? But I feel like God's given me my tribe,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I feel like I've met a lot of good people, like, and I feel like it's branching out. Like, you're a girl from LA that I'm like, yes. And then you're living, like, I'm living through you with the Tennessee girl.
Oh my god.
I'm living through you.
Would you be wanting to do like a Farmville life, or is that your
Yes.
Yes?
He's such a city boy. And I'm like, no. Isolation, acre, chickens,
Girl.
maybe a little cow, and a mini pig. Just for funsies. Because I don't think I'd be able to kill
come
them.
come through, we'll do a compound. I mean, the way that the world's going, girl, I'm like, I feel like preparation is the number. Even my parents are like, might move out of the cities just because things are getting biblical. And I will say that boldly because so many people are like, it's getting weird, but they want to tiptoe around. It's getting biblical.
Yeah. So you touched on forgiveness a second ago.
Yep.
Was forgiveness hard for you?
You know what's so weird, girl? I went to confession right before coming on this podcast, and one of the things I asked for was forgiveness because there's still things that I can hold on to, but I'm working on it. And I think being aware of the fact that you're holding on to things is like the first step, but
Yeah.
it's not always the easiest, girl. Like when people do deep wounds,
Yeah.
it's hard.
See, and I'm like contrary to that. Like forgiveness is very easy for me.
Is it?
My husband's like, I'm gonna need you to hold a grudge for a little bit, girl.
Oh my
He gets on
God.
me, babe. Do you not? He'll be like, stop, like because I don't know. For me, I think I just understand so deeply time that I'm just with the people like, and there is like one person in my life that has truly hurt me to my core. But I forgive that person, and I'm like, if you were to come with true repentance, I can't say that I would be like, nope. You know, and sometimes I'm like, is that so bad of me? But then I think about God and how he forgives us. And sometimes I feel egotistical to hold on to shit. Because I feel like, why do I think that I'm owed more than God? You know what I mean?
Girl, a word, because and forgiveness is a really big topic. And you know what? Forgiveness is actually this is why God is so incredible in what he teaches us, because he knows that if we walked around with unforgiveness in our heart, it really puts pollution in your own heart, in your own soul. You walk around angry, you walk around just with this chip on your shoulder. Forgiveness does more for you than it ever even will the other person.
Yeah. And I've seen, like I have a few atheist agnostic friends that I know, and they don't believe in forgiveness. But also I think that there's blinders on and they can't see the bitterness that they're holding within themselves. God forbid I tell them,
Yeah.
I don't know, girl, you're a little bitter.
And you know what, girl? It is. It's a poison. It's a poison that you hold on to, which is why I want to always be so aware of, okay, you're kind of holding on to this. More specifically, people that, will never acknowledge like they did something wrong and you feel like crazy for it. That's where I'm like, let it go, love them. And actually, if I could there's one thing that I learned. And if you are struggling to let something go, the best thing that I've found that has helped me is praying for them. And I mean like genuinely, not like I'm gonna pray for you. I mean like I pray for you, like either whoever it is, brother, sister, whoever it is, like friend, uncle, whatever. I pray for you genuinely from the bottom of my heart. I love you. Even just saying that out loud, you heal. You feel like just the Holy Spirit enter you.
It's peace.
It's
genuine peace. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm really big on like praying for people that have committed transgressions against you. Yeah. I think it's like that. I think that's such a testament to like the ultimate form of love, like what true love is.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Girl, and you said it perfectly earlier when you're like, how could I hold on to this when Jesus Christ, I mean, everything he had endured, and he still said on the cross, forgive them for they do not know what they do. And I was watching a podcast today, girl, about how actually brutal the crucifixion was of Jesus Christ. Do you know what, have you seen those like videos or those podcasts where they actually get into what he experienced?
Not,
it is insane.
not fully, but I just recently saw the actual like crown of thorns and what it actually was. I literally was gonna cry. I couldn't believe it. I was so, I don't even know the word to actually physically see how the thorns are like nails.
Oh yeah.
And to think about how they just shove that on him.
It's puncture wounds.
You know? I think we get like a very sugar-coated version
100%.
of how Jesus suffered for us, and it was so much more brutal. And that brutality, to like really try to understand the scope of it, it's really hard to digest.
It's hard to even imagine. And they even say, I love Passion of the Christ, God bless them. They even say, even in that movie, it doesn't even fully depict the fullness of what Jesus endured. I mean, it wasn't just your average whip or cinto, like maybe we got when we were kids. I mean, these whips had hooks like this made out of metal. So it ripped skin, okay? It's two people doing it at the same time, ripping skin. They said that Jesus you couldn't even recognize him after just the scourging. Like you mentioned, the crown of thorns. This isn't just like this cute little thing. I mean, full blown thorns that they jammed on his head. They even said there's some evidence to prove that he might have even gotten somewhat blinded because one of the hooks got very close to his eye. And I mean, they whipped him everywhere as a male, everywhere. And even crucifixion in itself, you die because you can't breathe anymore. Because when you're being hung like this, you're having to kind of push yourself up just to get a breath, and so the whole thing is crazy. And all that to say, he still went on there and said, forgive them for they do not know what they do. So you look at your own life and you're like, wow, that was a really horrible thing that you did, and it hurts. And I'm not taking away from the fact that it hurts what people do. It leaves wounds, but the forgiveness part, it's just alleviating, and that's why God's word is true. It is right. And I think it's what God teaches us is the set of instructions that it actually unshackles you. And I think the world, and again, this is the age of deception. So it says, oh, why am I going to have this book, this man-made book, tell me how to live in A, B, C, and D, all the things you hear, right? But I would argue following the Bible, it actually unshackles you from the slavery of sin, right? The slavery of addiction, bitterness, anger. It actually alleviates you from that. Why? Because God is goodness. The enemy is evil. And the more you are, the more you hold on to all these things or do all the things that, that satisfy our flesh, the more we get away from the goodness that is spirit, that is joy, peace, things you can't buy.
Yeah. Yeah. And things that teach you within your spirit how to enjoy life through adversity, through challenges, through hardships, through, divorces or illness or whatever. And I really I know you've been keeping up with the history side, right? Because I saw you post the other day, you mentioned someone historically, and you were like, there's these many documents about this person, but then there's like this many about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people don't understand. I always find it so funny when I talk to like non-believers, and then I'm like, our whole history timeline is based on Jesus. Like the whole timeline.
Do you know why we're in 2026?
Literally.
Do you know why it is the year 2026? Yeah. It's crazy.
Historically, it's the, even if you think of the game telephone, you know what I mean? And so many things that get messed up in the game of telephone, passing it on. Yet the story of Jesus Christ
is threaded through. It's crazy, and you're right. And that's why recently I've been getting into apologetics. So I'm definitely not perfect at it, but every night I'm watching videos on really understanding the history, because I think a lot of people, there's so many misconceptions about the Bible and the history of Jesus, and people, maybe it's this make up believe figure, but the crucifixion of Jesus Christ is one of the most well recorded historical events in our history. If you believe in Julius Caesar and Plato and all of these people and you don't doubt it,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even compare the amount of documentation about these historical figures versus that of Jesus Christ. And mind
Yeah.
you, these aren't just people that are Christians. I mean, these are, some of them are theologians, right? Some of them Christians. A lot of them they're not even Christian
Yep.
at all. Some of them are, actually don't believe in Jesus, in what he believes in, but they actually say, like, historically speaking, everything that they say happened. There's I think there's 24 to 25,000 manuscripts about Jesus's life.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, Plato has
Yeah.
nine, not 9,009.
Yeah. And
So
science is catching up.
exact.
Science is catching up.
I saw a post about that earlier today.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's coming full circle down to our DNA. Like, there's so many intricacies of what has been said biblically about Jesus and his teachings. And now I think, honestly, I think a lot of it has been purposefully hidden or distorted, girl, But I think a lot more people, and I think it's because we're created in God's image, intuitively are coming to Christ. Like, there was just a poll done, and we are like seeing record numbers of Gen Z go to church. And I'm like, yeah, because it's in us.
It's in us. And I think, you're absolutely right. The culture is becoming so distorted. And I do believe, and actually Book of Revelation talks about this, and we've been seeing it throughout history. I mean, we are in such an age of chaos and such an age of disinformation, and in an age where there's so much confusion in identity, confusion in what's real, what's not. And I believe that Gen Z is hungry and thirsty for being rooted in truth, rooted in tradition, rooted in Christ, right? Because this world is becoming painful. People are dealing with loneliness, depression, and they're doing all the things the world tells them, all the things Netflix shows and media and Hollywood tells them is going to be fulfilling and great. Go do it. Go sleep around. Go empower yourself. Go do A, B, C, and D. And I think Gen Z is realizing, like, it's destructive, and they're thirsting for it, because you're right, it's right here.
Yeah, they're not being fulfilled the way that they thought all these other coping mechanisms would fulfill them.
Right.
And I know you mentioned your dad had a strong faith since way back. Did you have a strong faith since then, or is your coming to Christ like something in adulthood?
In adulthood.
Really?
Grew up hardcore Catholic family. Hardcore Catholic family. My mom, hardcore Monday through Sunday, church and rosary every day. She's a prayer warrior for me. Like I said, I got into the industry and met some of the best people, but I was talking crazy on the radio. Like, I'm on a hip hop station. I'm on a reggaeton station, you know? So I would say things that were of the world. I didn't think anything of it, though. I didn't think I was a bad person. I just didn't have God in my heart. And there was times where I doubted God.
Yeah.
For sure. I doubted his existence. I went into the woo-woo stuff, not too much, but like, manifest the universe, blah, 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 all those things.
Same.
Oh, you did too?
Oh, yeah, girl. Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, girl.
Yeah, I did for a cool minute. And I actually, I had like a demonic encounter with dabbling in like new age spiritualism.
What happened?
And it wasn't, so I was like really into meditating, manifesting. I really enjoyed the crystals. I wouldn't do like witchcraft.
Right.
Or nothing. Like, I had a limit with that. But I had this sense of, I am my own God. My life is what I make it mentality. And there's a thin line between realms, and we had gone on a camping trip, and I was, kid you not, sleeping, and then I was out of my body. Wow. And I was out of my body seeing my husband sleep, and then like I thought of my parents, and then I was in my parents' room seeing them sleep, and then my sister, and then the kids. And this entity was showing me that it was like, at first it tried to make me feel, I don't know how to describe the spiritual realm other than it's timeless and it's energy. There is no flesh.
That's what people say.
There is none.
Interesting.
You think a thought and you're there. Like, it's so surreal. But this and the communication isn't like how we're communicating now. It's just like a knowing, right? You know something's there, and you're able to like communicate by planting what you want to say in the energy. I don't know how to describe it, but this entity was like initially, it was pretty much asking for me to invite it in. And it tried to show itself friendly, and I rejected it because instinctually I knew it wasn't of God.
And this is when you were out of body.
This is when I was out of
you
body.
were communicating in a knowing
Yeah.
type
And
of.
I was like energetically telling it, no, I don't want you to be by me. I don't feel comfortable
You just
with
feel
this.
like you knew that
I
instinctually.
knew that instinctually. So then it snapped me back into my body, snapped me back out of my body, and then it showed me that it was walking my children off of the cliff. And so it used fear to like, no, look at the power that I have. And I was trying to pray to God while I was out of body, and I could not say Jesus's name. And I was so scared that I saw my sister, and I went to my sister and I said, please pray, because there's something evil in this house and it will not let me pray. You need to pray. So my sister, she didn't grow up speaking Spanish, but she started praying El Padre Nuestro in Spanish, right? She did go to a Catholic school, but she didn't fluently speak Spanish. Never heard my sister pray in Spanish ever. She starts praying. I snap back into my body, snaps me out again. And I have a thing with cats. I really, really love kittens and cats. I don't know why. So it showed me this little cat, and I was like, oh, initially, right? And I go to like get it or be with the cat because I can't even grab it, right? And I realize, oh my gosh, no, it's the entity in the cat.
Oh my God.
And in this like other space, I snapped the neck of the cat. Not in real life, but like in this other space. And immediately when I did that, it was an indigenous, like chief looking demon that like snarled at me and was so mad at me for rejecting it. I was so freaking scared. I snapped immediately into my body. I jumped up. I was like a freaking ghost. He was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, I need to check on the kids. I go out. My sister is sleeping on the couch where I had seen her out of body. Mind you, she fell asleep in another room. I go to her. I'm like, there's evil in this house. I need you to pray. She starts praying El Padre Nuestro. And in that moment, I realized, I don't know what the heck other realm I just experienced, but this shit was real. And I went and I checked on the kids, and the kids were fine. But energetically, I knew that, like, I don't know what door I've been opening, but Jesus, I am so sorry. And I'm shutting this door.
That girl, I've been recently listening to people's testimonies just like that, where the veil's lifted for them.
Yeah.
And they say, and you can confirm this, but because I've never experienced it, but when you're in that spiritual realm, the fear you feel is like a fear you can't even begin to describe here in the physical world. Spiritual knowing is just like, you just know. It's supernatural. It's like this other, your senses. I mean, everything is just, it's so much heightened. It's so heightened, right?
Yes, because everything feels like energy. Everything is energy. And that fear that I felt, I've never, ever felt a fear deep to my bones the way that experience made me feel.
And you know, that's what they say. There was another testimony where a man, he was into, you know, brujeria and Santa Muerte and all that kind of stuff from the Caribbeans. And he, you know, he said, he was like, I was gangbanging it up in Chicago, briefly died. And he said he became a pastor after he came back into his body. And he's like, I experienced that. It's something that you could only be described as hell, darkness that consumes you, like darkness that you could be in the dark room. But I mean, this is like darkness that you can't even begin to describe. And he said the energy is so much stronger, fear, all the things. And then I've heard people's testimony of where they died. They saw their body at a hospital bed and they went towards the light, and a love, seeing colors that you couldn't even begin to describe before. And that's what I try to tell people is, look, you could be atheist. I respect, because God gives us that ability, right? To decide kind of in what lens you want to view the world. If you want to be atheist, but obviously he wants you to follow him, because this hair, your hair, our skin, everything is going to be 6 feet under one day, and it's going to turn into dust. But this thing, this being, this personhood, the way that you think, the way that you see the world, your personality, all these things that science can't describe that. Yeah. Science can't describe self or soul. This is something that is going to transcend. Now, as believers, we believe that what you decide to do in this world, whether it's go towards goodness and morality, and we believe that in the Bible we were given these set of instructions of what it is God needs for us to enter that kingdom, that realm, you know, in whatever way you want to put it. Heaven, for me, it's obviously heaven, but it's a different kind of vibration,
Yeah.
as opposed to the evil, dark vibration that, you know, people have experienced. And that's why it's important to, I know this life feels like it's going to be forever. I know, no, it's like you only live once, but I would argue that our time here is so short in comparison to eternity. I mean, you said time feels different in those realms, right?
Yeah, there is no sense of time. It can feel like forever.
How long did it feel for you?
It depended each time this entity pulled me out of my body. The first time, I felt like I was out of my body for hours. The second time,
Wow.
it felt like, because I knew immediately that it was not good, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. And then the last time, I was kind of lingering and like trying to pet the cat.
You're like, I'm hiding for a second.
Yeah,
There's
and I
a
was like,
cat
wait, hold
here.
on. Yeah. And then just instantly.
And what's interesting is they say that demons obviously can watch you. They know what your likes are, what your dislikes are. So I feel like it's very interesting that it was a cat.
Yeah. Oh no, this demon absolutely fed on my fears. It, you know, the first thing it tried to show me was my children and the power it could have over my children. And I mean, as a mother, that's my children. That's like my deepest fear, right? Because I'm on this earth to protect them. So it showed me that. And then when I still didn't give in to that fear, it tried to like butter me up with the kitten. And I've read, right, because after that situation, it's like when I had my third surrender to Christ.
Your third?
And my third, yeah. And fully, like, that led to this. Yeah.
You're like, we're here now.
Yeah, I needed that one. Yeah. After that, I was learning that demonic entities or evil entities, they have to have permission. They have to have permission to enter you. And, you know, there's all these games like Bloody Mary and all these little things that kids play. The board,
What's that board game?
The Ouija board.
Yeah, they used to sell that at Toys R Us.
Or Ring Around the Rosie, right? All these little kid games that were actually occult sayings and doings. And you can unknowingly invite these entities in your practices, in the manifestation, in the, you know, crystals and things that, you know, you're doing. And I think a lot of people, I think reading the Bible has really opened my eyes to the other powers on earth that God acknowledges. You know, he speaks about the deities that were here on earth, or the angels that bred with the humans, and how angels were starting to give us humans ancient knowledge, metaphysical knowledge. So there's these powers here. Yes, you're right. There is powers if you utilize crystals in such a way. Yes, technically you can pray to Santa Muerte or whoever other deities that you believe in, but Christ is the King of Kings, you know? And sure, those things, deities and energies or whatever, can gift you in the flesh, but they torment you in the spirit.
Oof.
You know?
That is so real. Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes, like, when you ask somebody, oh, like, you know, what's your faith or what do you believe in? And they'll be like, well, I'm spiritual. And then I would argue, oh my gosh, well, you know, Christians, Catholics, whatever denomination, you know, followers of Christ, I don't think it gets more spiritual than that. You open up the Bible, it is spiritual on steroids. Like,
Yes.
Demons, slain, you know, kings, queens, you know, the
Dragons,
I mean, the giants,
freaking angels
Nephilim.
with eyes. You know what I mean?
I'm like, you want to talk spiritual? Open up a Bible for real.
Yes.
And look, you know, your salvation and what happens to your soul after is nothing to gamble. So if it's something that you haven't tried or you haven't opened up your heart to, I would urge you to do it, because yes, you only get one life, but you also get this one chance to secure what's going to happen to your soul after this. And I feel like for me, a lot of the time it was ego. I'm like, I'm good. But truth is, it could be in a millisecond.
Yeah.
It could be over. You know, just I could get in a car, whatever it might happen. So God always tells us, keep oil in your lamp.
Yeah.
Stay prepared, stay close to Christ, especially now more than ever in 2026, where I'm sure you feel it even as a mom more. You're probably even, your awareness is even heightened. But this spiritual warfare that we're seeing put on our society, on our children, is so blatant. When God gives you eyes to see what's happening unfold in culture and in the media, you're like, wow.
Yeah,
The enemy's
absolutely.
outside. He knows his days are numbered.
Yep. You being in the media space and on social media, speaking more boldly of your faith, was that hard for you to do?
Girl. Yes. Oh
Why?
my
Did you
gosh.
feel you were going to be judged or?
You know what? I don't even, right now at this point, I don't care. I'm like so bold. Nobody's going to take away my relationship with God or Christ.
Yeah.
And the more you read the Bible, the more you realize this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And to rejoice and be glad.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to that boldness. But I remember when I first found God, this was in 2022.
Yeah.
So for many years, I rejected God. I was always considered myself a good person, but I didn't have God.
Yeah.
And when I first found him, for 3 months straight, every morning, I'd be in the shower bawling my eyes out because I was so confused. I started getting convicted of the things I was saying on camera, the different gigs, like what I was prioritizing, what I was the idolatry that is so heavy sometimes in these spaces towards other people or things or systems or institutions that are not of God or biblical.
Yeah.
And I realized that you can only be for one team.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
Similarly to soccer, you leave that identity. In this life, you're going to shed multiple identities, and it's difficult. For me, it was like this 12-year long career building identity in this industry that I still love dearly. Some of my best friends are in it. But I also knew, you know what? I can't take up half the jobs that maybe I want to because it's just not going to glorify God in the way that I need to move forward in my life. So big changes need to be made. That's why I got an RV and went to Tennessee because I remember telling my dad, I'm being pulled left and right to events and everything. And it's great, but it was hard to hear God's voice. And I can compare it to, and this is why the Bible's so great, because there's always a story that you can relate to, whether it's Daniel, Moses, Isaiah. Moses, he had to remove Moses for 40 years into the desert because he was the king. And how could you really sharpen yourself as a steward of Christ if you are not allowing yourself that time and space? Jesus would also retreat to his quiet place to hear God's voice more clearly. And so for 2.5 years, and I've fallen off the horse. I've made mistakes, and it's been spiritual warfare like crazy.
Yeah.
But I do think God is going to continue using me now for his team in a different way.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing that I've noticed in this media space. The business model, when you're obedient to Christ, like that is just the business model.
Yep.
Just obedient to God.
Yep.
And whatever comes with that. And there's been times as well that, like, even with my own podcast, I'm like seeing the way other entrepreneurs are like constantly pushing out content, constantly networking, constantly this, constantly that. And I don't have that urge because God is the one that guides me. And sometimes I see these opportunities opening for other people, but then they're opening on platforms or with people that I'm like, you know what, I don't even really want to be tied to that because it's not representative of where I'm at in life with my relationship with God.
I love that.
And so, like, getting to a place of understanding that losses aren't necessarily losses or doors that are closed. They're just doors not for you. Other doors will open.
That is so interesting you say that. On my screensaver, I have different Bible verses that pop up. And the one that was on it today, it was a quote, and it was, "That closed door saved your life." That was today.
Yeah.
I was like,
Ooh, affirmation.
I know. I'm like,
Wow.
wow. So that's crazy you say that, but you're right. I feel in this industry, I couldn't serve two gods. And the God of the industry will be swayed by culture, and it will be swayed by whatever the norm is. And God does tell us in these times, and I do believe we're in the times of Noah. I'm going to say that boldly. I do believe that, where what's people say is good is actually bad, and what's bad is actually good. And when that morality gets so distorted, people don't even know what's good anymore. That's why we're seeing so many fractures happening. And so I knew that I just needed to remove myself a little bit from the culture of it all.
Yeah.
Really learn the Bible, and I'm still learning. I'm still a student, but just sharpen myself. Yeah, because it's gonna get crazier.
Yeah. And I actually think that it's a good thing that you're still in the media space.
Yep.
Because I think that's what's necessary. I think we need more bold soldiers of Christ in these influential spaces.
For sure.
That are willing to be like, hey, yeah, sure, this is what you've thought that it normally is, or maybe this was the norm, or this is what it was usually like. But look, there's people like me. Oops. There's people like me who are here, and I love Jesus, and I'm still doing my thing. You know?
I love that. And you know what? I feel like God is strengthening me more and more to be able to like boldly step into those spaces and do that, because for a very long time I did not feel that way at all. No, because I lost friendships for sure, 10-year, 15-year long
I was
friendships.
just gonna ask that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you gotten over that yet, or are you still wrestling with coming to terms with that?
I love these people. I love my friends, and I love deeply. And so it's always hard when I feel maybe misunderstood, because if anything, God has put so much more love in my heart for people, that if I say something, it's because truth is truth, and you know that lies will lead to death, and lies will, and if I know what I know now about the spiritual world and about the Bible and about following Jesus and what happens to our souls and your soul, and I love you after this, what kind of a person am I going to be if I am just clapping you along when I feel like it's not only just distracting your soul, your body as well, or the people around me? I don't want them to clap for me while I am being spiraling or being destructive, you know?
Yeah.
I need people around me that are going to love me and say things with love of, hey, you know, this is what I know, and I love you as a friend.
Yeah.
But it's hard because I've been in their position too, where it's like, I don't need to hear that. So you have to have that. I need to have that grace for, you know, keep understanding where they're at in their journey.
Yeah. I saw a post the other day that said, true emotional intelligence is knowing when someone needs correction and when someone needs compassion.
I love that.
And I was like, oh yeah, I've probably been a little too corrective at times.
A little too tough on the love.
But I guess it boils down to discernment. How are you enjoying your life in Tennessee?
It's hard because all my friends are here, my family's here, and obviously I'm still wrestling with my identity shifting completely. Out there, I'm not going to events, I'm not interviewing anybody, you know, my craft or anything like that. So it's so much slower. But I love it. I love the slowness of it. I'm gonna have my little farm soon and do all the things. I do feel like, I don't know, I'm a prepper girl.
Yeah?
Like, you know what I mean? Like a doomsday prepper. I don't know if anybody's watching this, and they, you know, I'm like, I talk to, you know, my man out there, and I'm like, we need the cows. We need the chickens. I'm trying to get into like herbology and like, well, girl,
I have a couple books I can recommend you. I'll send you some.
Please, because girl, did the Bible and did God not tell us he's going to give us what we need in on this earth?
Yes.
And yet we turn to like all the medications and all that. And I do believe in modern science, but there's something about taking some like honey or garlic or, you know, rosemary that just feels like you're in tune with God. I don't know how to describe it.
And even knowing your blood type, because our blood type, each person's blood type requires a different kind of nutrients depending on your lineage. So like I'm O, right? I come from hunter-gatherers. So I need more red meat. And there's like certain things I should stay away from, like cashews, because my body won't absorb it. My DNA won't absorb it the way that it should. Look into that.
You're so right. If we just learn our bodies more the way that God like had designed us, then we'll be in tune with it so much more. But we're fighting it all the time. We're putting all this crap into our bodies. I mean,
it's inevitable. It's everywhere. You know, like it's everywhere. Shampoo, perfume.
How you've gone down that whole, all those rabbit
holes. And I'm just like, I had to stop myself. And I had to like, okay, faith needs to come in, because I'm going to, you know, you can make yourself sick stressing yourself out so much. And I realized that I just need to have that balance of like, okay, I'm going to detox every 3 months to like balance out all the toxins.
All the crazy
that I
stuff.
constantly put.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm really big on like keeping probiotics in the house. All of us, you know, our gut balanced, and cilantro, celery, you know, for the heavy metal detoxing.
Ooh, with the,
Yeah, all of that. Like, shit gets serious. The American diet is not intended for our good. I feel like that totally clouds our connection spiritually.
100%. And then even like, I would argue a lot of, you know, and I know it's controversial, but even like some of the vaccines, I wonder what that's done to our bodies as well. And I've been kind of going down my own journey of like the heavy metal detox and all that stuff, because I take people's word for it. I take, you know, these institutions' word for it. But if you actually look at the history of pharma, I mean, the amount that they've covered up so many atrocities that they've done to humans just with, experimental things.
Yep.
It's like you grow up knowing it, but again, the veil's lifting a little bit. We're getting an insight on how things are truly run, who's really in power, who's really pulling the strings, who's really financing a lot of these institutions, and you just wonder.
Yeah.
You're like,
Especially too, I think understanding like God and us as humans and how we're so sinful. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's hard to think that there could be a human who would not battle with their flesh if they were in these positions of power.
right.
You know what I mean? It's like very humanly to abuse your power. It's very human to like be greedy.
It's true.
And nefarious.
And that who's to say anybody wouldn't be in that position and not make those decisions? I can never throw stones. I mean, you see, like, for instance, a homeless person, they just pray to have a warmer jacket. You give them a warmer jacket, and then they say, well, now I want like a closet. And then you want the house. And I have a house, and I'm like, maybe I want this other nicer house. That it's that human nature of greed. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's in everybody.
Yep. And I think that's why I appreciate reading the Bible so much, because God emphasizes how important it is to be content with what you have. Like, and when I really truly think about my life, like even when we were struggling, we never went without. Like even when we were like 3 kids, 1-bedroom apartment, how the fuck are we going to do this? Never went without. And I'm like, okay, I see it. Like, and you naturally as human, you strive for more, but I've been like really trying to be rooted in this is for me and this is what I need. And it's simple and great.
It's great. And it's even in our Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread, not our give us this day our daily bread. Not monthly bread, not yearly bread. It's daily. Just provide for us daily. And you're right. It's about humbling yourself and saying, I have what I need, being content with what you need. And I've been in rooms with some of the richest people and some of the poorest people in regards to money. And a lot of the times I find people with not much to their name being some of the most joyous, happy people that are just grateful. And they prioritize human connection and laughter over things.
Yes.
At some point, you can get enough things, but how many things do you really need? It's soul. That's what I'm saying. It's soul. It's not flesh. It's not plastic. It's not metals. It's not jewelry. It's soul.
Yeah. And those connections, those soul connections are so much more fulfilling.
Absolutely.
So much more fulfilling.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Having friends that you're equally yoked with in your relationship, equally yoked. There's something so wholesome about it, and you're content.
Yeah, you're content, and you can go through life in that way. And I'm definitely getting, that's the thing about following God, is he truly removes the gunk out of your heart and out of your, like, even I remember I was going off about like what's going on in Hollywood and the symbolism. I'm passionate about what we're seeing, how the occult manifests itself in a lot of media that we see, and I like calling it out. And I got checked. I feel like God opened up my eyes and made me realize, you know what, Jess? Jesus came and died for those people too.
Oh.
So I was like, whoa. And that's the thing, is God will continue, just like silver. And this is a reference in the Bible, but refining you like silver. And what does he do? He holds you under the heat, but he keeps his close eye on you, and he clears away those impurities. So I'm over here thinking, like, on my high horse, like, all these people, they've sold their soul to the devil, and I still believe that, they've prioritized other deities and things like that. And I think it's important to call out so other people don't, idolize them. Yeah. But it's also, we pray for them and we love them, because these people are people with souls too, and we want them in heaven. We want them to repent. And if you have a crazy platform as this biggest artist, then imagine the souls you could change if you come to Christ and you show people, hey, pick up your cross and follow Christ. So that's that journey that God takes you on, is like, I died for them too. What are you talking about, sitting on your high horse? You're a sinner too, girl. Like, get off your dang, high horse. And I'm like, oh, thank you, God. I need that humbling for a second. For a second, yeah.
God be pruning us. I swear, I've gone through moments like that too. I think that's why I stopped like talking about like politics and all this stuff. I think one day it just hit me. Healing. Let the fruit of my life be a reflection of what Jesus has done for me. That is my contribution.
And that's where you've really reached that kind of next step in your faith, because you do get to a point in your faith where you're like so in that like political realm and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And then you get to that point where you're like, wow, no person is coming to save us.
Yeah.
We can have people that are, maybe for team good and team evil, but no matter what, everybody has good and evil in them. It is absolutely right. It is, where am I at? Am I going to be salt of the earth, right? That's a reference. And what does salt do? Salt preserves.
Yeah.
And that's why God says, be salt of the earth.
Yeah.
When he did his like famous Sermon on the Mount. And it's so profound. God uses these tiny little kind of analogies that are just incredible. I mean, we as Christians, as people, followers of God, we are called to be the preservers of this earth and people's souls, and be that beacon, that light with our fruits. Yeah. How do we treat people? Even I'll be driving down the street sometimes, and the things that used to piss me off, and I would, drive all aggressive. Now I'm like, this has been happening to me lately, where I'm like, I'm going to be a little bit more patient. Does it always happen? No, but every aspect of my life, I'm like, I'm going to approach this with so much more love.
Yeah.
Or for that forgiveness that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. And life genuinely feels so much lighter because of it. So God is just so good, and he's just, he's everything.
Yeah.
He's been everything.
I can totally see you're on fire for him. Ooh. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to like watch your journey when you were just doing your media to you like baby stepping your way boldly.
You
for
noticed?
Jesus.
Yes. Did you notice it even on social media?
Absolutely. And then to full blown, and your approach to addressing like harder topics, I can feel is from a place of love. And I admire that about you. Because I was definitely from a place of tough love. Like, you're fucking idiots.
Right.
Like, what is going on?
Right. Sometimes you just got to flip tables.
But your approach is so loving and so understanding. And even the way you say things, I feel like I can feel the intention behind it. That I think it's wonderful to see you utilizing your platform to bring people to God's glory, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it's so great connecting with you, because having people in media that are also voices for God, all we can do is continue praying for each other, that God continues using us. I prayed before coming in, and I'm like, God, just use me and help me say, things that glorify you, not me, because Lord knows, like, again, I'm the worst of them. I'm the worst of the worst type of sinner, like we all are, right? And I do believe we're getting to a point where it might get harder and harder, right? The Bible talks that this is going to happen explicitly. So it's just building that community, like you said, has been just really nice, because sometimes it felt like I was alone for a while. But I'm like, no, there's other warriors out here that are willing to fight that good fight.
Yep. And God builds your spiritual armor. I think despite all the negative aspects of social media, one of the best things about it, or my favorite things about it, is that those of us who have felt few and far between, we've been able to find each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. You're in Tennessee or LA and I'm in Sacramento, but we're doing the same job.
Yeah, let's go. We're meeting up. So I wanted to ask you though, with your friendships, when you came to God for that third time, like how did your friendships or inner circle react or respond?
So I feel like a lot of my friends are all big believers.
Okay.
It was more so the healing cycle in terms of like breaking generational curses that really kind of eliminated a lot of people in my life.
Okay.
Like they're believers of God, but not like I'm going to change my life believers in God. It's more so like I believe in God, and then I'm going to go drink this weekend and like get belligerent for a 3-day bender.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so I think my surrender to Christ and my coming to Christ was a lot more radical for them. And it really changed my life. Like it really was like, okay, I'm having these convictions and I'm going to be obedient. And in my obedience, I realized that I was pulled from the crowd. And in being pulled from the crowd, I no longer fit in, even with my own family. And so even the things that God was calling me to stand up against, it was things and truth that my family wasn't ready to face, or some of my friends weren't ready to face. And I went through like about 2 years of feeling very isolated And I mean like me and my husband. And of course I had, some friends, but we were like all doing our own thing in life. I would say within the last year, me and God placed new friends in our life that were definitely rooted in him. And I feel like now I'm seeing like, okay, I see my tribe. I see who you're bringing to me. And then only one friend from like years ago stayed, but she's also rooted in Christ.
Wow.
Yeah, but it came with a lot of loss. It
It's
was
hard.
like a price I had to pay for sure. You were saying that you relate.
I relate to that story because when I had left to Tennessee, it was the most painful. It's been the most painful 2 years of my life. I'm barely getting my footing out there, but the isolation and then the losing of a lot of friendships or, because no matter what, when you accept Jesus into your heart, you will change.
Yeah.
And that's hard sometimes for friends. I totally understand because I've had friends in my life that found God and I didn't understand it. And I'm like, oh, you done drink the juice or something. Like literally, I used to think like that. So I totally relate to their experience. But when you're on your path, just staying on that path and staying strong in that path and not allowing, to get like dragged back down to, for me, it was like the depths of hell.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like because I was so enslaved by so many different things. For me, it was like over drinking or, whatever it might be, or, saying sinful things on the radio for all of LA to hear. I'm like, God, forgive me for that.
Yeah.
But again, God knows what he's doing and he sees our timeline. He sees our full timeline. And the best way I could describe it is like, you see chickens and they're all just like, they have a level of consciousness that's like that of like a pea brain. And they're just like out here and you're like, don't go that way. There's a coyote.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need you to stay behind this fence here. But they don't understand and they keep trying to pet going that way. God sees us and has a level of consciousness that we can't even understand, a timeline that we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
So trusting in him, right?
And
Fully.
And it's hard to keep that faith in those moments of pruning or in those moments of isolation when God is teaching you wisdom or giving you revelation or correction. It's hard to really be like, okay, I'm going to accept this. I'm going to accept that this is out of my control. And I think it's like in human nature to want to fix it or to like wrestle with it because we want connection. You know what I mean? I lost people that I thought were going to be in my life forever.
Yeah.
And I think you said it earlier, being misunderstood. I wrestled so much, so like all of my life with being misunderstood when I'm like, but I have like no bad intentions.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely, I'm like loyal, ride or die, you know? What in the world is going on? But it's not being equally yoked. And I realized that that's what it was. That's the core of it. It's just, I'm not equally yoked with certain people. That's not to say that I'm above them or whatever. Right. It's just where we're at with the knowledge that we're having of life and the wisdom that we're attaining is not on the same level.
Not even the same lens.
No.
Right? And that's the thing about, you can view the world in a science view, an atheistic view, and a agnostic, whatever it might be. And people say, well, I don't follow religion. I would say it's a way, it's a religion. You're subscribing to, this viewpoint and whatever it might be. And when you follow Christ and the Bible, you're right. The yoke, you're not going to be, you're looking at the world in a completely different lens than your friend. So the framework is different. So naturally there's going to be some barriers there. Again, there's not to say there's any lost love at all. If anything, you love them harder because that's the framework that we're given is to love them harder, plant seeds in them even more. But I completely understand where you're coming from. And I think that's super relatable right now in 2026 when culture could not be more different than the framework that the Bible gives us. And it's getting increasingly more, you're seeing more and more tension happening right now. So
and then trying to balance,
Yep.
Trying to balance. Okay. I know for me, it's like, I'm in this space, right? And it feels few and far between. It feels like, okay, I'm doing something so different than what everyone else is doing. But then I come across like True Hustle Podcast and you. And it's like, oh, well, look, like there's these beacons of light. And I genuinely feel in my heart that it's purposeful. I genuinely, I'm like, all right, God, you know what you're doing. You know why these avenues are opening, conversations are happening. You know, it's purposeful. It's for something greater. I can feel it. We're gonna touch lives. We're planting the seeds. Someone needed to hear what we're saying, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm going with the flow.
I'm grateful. The path is narrow, girl, and we're on that path, and we're going to keep, again, it's iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful that you invited me onto your platform, and I've been on True
Absolutely.
Hustles too. Shout out True Hustle.
Yes.
He is literally, arguably, like the two of you, because I'm actually speaking from the soul. There isn't any, I'm talking about things I'm like so passionate about with the both of you.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we're like, okay, we all connect
Yes.
because we're on that same equally kind
Yes.
of yoked. We're seeing the world in this way of discernment and, you know, A, B, C, and
Absolutely.
D. And I would argue that even if it's far and few in between, like you had mentioned, it's so much more powerful
Yes,
though than
I
just
agree.
spreading thin and not being authentically where you
I
stand
agree.
boldly, you know?
I agree. Well, all right. One last question. What is the biggest piece of advice that you could give listeners right now?
Oh my gosh, follow Jesus.
Yes.
Follow Jesus. I mean, there's no other bigger piece of advice, because in doing that of itself, your whole life changes. You get cleansed out of so many of those things that are holding you hostage right now, holding you behind right now, or holding you back right now to really connect with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So literally, for the rest of my life, that's my biggest piece of advice. Follow Jesus.
Amen. I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really wonderful to talk about God with you and to finally meet in person.
I know.
We were overdue.
I know.
All right,
Love you, my
guys.
Instagram bestie.
Take care. That was great.